The RFP. Request for proposal. Brands put them out for marketing agencies to respond to with strategy and ideas to see if they can win that brand's business. At Brand Revolt, we don't feel like waiting around to be asked for help. So we started making RFPs on behalf of real brands that definitely didn't ask us to. This is Unsolicited RFPs.
So who does the intro? Who does the? I forget the timing of.
I think you've kind of been the leader in most cases to bring us into the show.
Okay, I don't know what episode this is. 4, 3, 5, something like that. Unsolicited RFP. I'm excited about this one. Today I've got the presentation, the proposal for the unsolicited RFP, and this RFP this time it comes from or is made for Built Bar. Built is the company, I think, but they get called Built Bar a lot because they make these protein bars, and so it's kind of they have kind of a name, an unofficial name. But I'm excited about this, and before I get into it, anything that you want to set up for us, Adam, or anything when you think about Built Bar, what comes to mind?
Yeah, Built Bar is a really interesting organization. It's kind of funny. I actually remember when they were launching for the first time their brand, they had reached out through a contact form, and we emailed back and forth. And because we didn't have any consumer product specific experience, we were eliminated from that process very quickly. I got to say, it did kind of hurt my heart about 3 or 4 months later when I watched this massive unveiling of this really cool protein bar brand. And I got to say, I think they did a really nice job with the launch, whoever they chose. I don't know who they ended up choosing. But one of the things that I think is really interesting is they have always used sports as kind of a place to tether their message. They were kind of the first, at least that I saw, to do a wild NIL deal when the name and likeness laws changed several years ago. And I can't remember exactly what the details of it were, but they did a massive NIL campaign with BYU. And I believe they covered all of the tuition for all the non-scholarship players or something like that as part of their NIL sponsorship. But I thought that was a really interesting brand launch. So they've done some cool things from a marketing perspective. I think their brand launch was really effective. They obviously have distribution in all the major places where you can purchase protein bars. And full disclosure, I'm a customer and I consume their protein bars. Well, the puffs. Because I don't really like the texture. Are you a puff or
a bar guy? That's
no, I think the texture of the bars, I don't have that much time to chew, and if I'm going to chew for that long, I probably need to order a steak instead of a protein bar. But the puffs, the texture of the puffs is really good, and I'm definitely a consumer of those products.
That's interesting kind of debate online. I shouldn't say debate like it's heated or anything, but some people really do like the puff. Some people are like, well, I don't want this weird kind of semi-gelatinous feel. Everyone's got preferences, right? But yeah, that's a good setup, good history. If I'm not mistaken, based on my research, I think 2018 is when they really fully launched. And so they're still, relatively speaking, kind of a new company. I mean, it's been a few years now, but this isn't some decades-old brand. And so I have an idea for them, but before I get to the idea, let me establish what I observe as kind of the situation they find themselves in, kind of the SWOT analysis, if you want to call it that. And one thing that stands out to me, and I know if I were to talk to them, which I would love to do after this, hopefully, talk to them internally, they would probably have an answer to what their brand position is. They obviously have marketing that they planned. I would posit that whatever their brand position is, as far as their why or their brand essence or their mission, is not very clear. I think they need to have more of a significant brand position. If they claim things like we're the best tasting or we have the best ingredients, so many different companies that do what they do can make such claims. Whether or not they actually can compete with what Built offers, everyone says theirs tastes good. Everyone says they have high quality ingredients. And unless you dive into the science of it and compare and contrast, no one really knows who actually does. Everyone kind of claims that. And so I know one of the things I've seen a lot of times is ours tastes good. Ours tastes like a candy bar. Ours actually doesn't have that protein taste, which I personally kind of agree with. I've had them. I think they're pretty tasty. But again, with all the different things that you put in your mouth to get protein, to say that the thing that used to our taste a little better, I feel like that's not as strong and ownable of a position. I want to help them identify more what is a built bar about. What not even just the bar, not what's in the wrapper, but what the brand. What is that brand about, other than making a bar that tastes pretty good and gives me protein? Any reaction to that before I move forward?
No, I think it's an interesting point. I think you're right. Like, personal preference and subjective opinion is such a hard thing to build your brand around. Like, we're the best tasting. There are people that will agree with you. There are people that disagree with you. It's like fish, right? A large portion of the population loves fish. And the other part of the population, of which I'm a part of, thinks it's disgusting. I think it tastes how it smells. And I also think that if you have to say it tastes like chicken, it doesn't taste like fish, well, then why not just order chicken, right? So no matter what, people's subjective preferences are going to be different. And I think protein bars are going to have the same issue. And so you can't prove a subjective or opinion-based point. And so I think that's a really difficult thing to build your brand around.
Exactly. And going back to, I call it a SWOT analysis: strength, weaknesses, opportunity, threats. I don't identify this as like a weakness. I'm not trying to say they have a bad brand or that they're suffering. I think it's an opportunity where you could further establish yourself with a brand identity that is more clear, consistent, and people recognize you for that. I don't think they have that right now. I think they're just a good, pretty high quality, pretty good tasting player in the game. So not a bad spot, but there's a market brand identity to be gained there. Yeah. We'll table that for a minute. I'll address that with my concept, my proposal in a minute. Insight number 2 that I came across, they have, and I believe my sources are accurate, so I think I can confidently say this. They've recently publicized that about 60% of their digital marketing budget goes to influencer promotions. They rely heavily on influencers. You mentioned kind of the NIL stuff. They have some long-term kind of engagements and collaborations. They have some one-off stuff, but they rely heavily on influencers, most of their digital marketing budget. And then as a total, their budget overall, digital marketing as a whole, big part of their spend. And they have seen success with that in the sense that you boost your digital marketing, you boost your influencer usage, you get more sales. But this is not going to be new to anyone who's listened to us before. This is kind of a repeat to some of our philosophy. That's great, but then you have to keep paying for that. You have to keep paying for more influencers. You have to keep paying for digital ads. So I'm not anti-ad, I'm not anti-influencer, but if you want to say, hey, if we spend more, we see more sales, well, how much do you want to play that game? And what happens when someone else can spend more than you in a certain category? They also have influencers. And so, again, more of an opportunity than like a problem. It's just that's great, but if you're dependent, 60% of your budget or more is going towards something that as soon as it happens, it's kind of gone. That's not as efficiently sustainable as what I want to propose to them. Which again, I'm burying the lead here. I'll get to it, but reaction to that before I move on.
No, I think you're spot on with that argument, and you know, I've talked about it before that it's hunting versus farming, right? And if all you ever do is hunt, and we'll use the analogy that I've used before, zombie apocalypse hits, I'm out in the wilderness with my family. If I go get a deer, bring it back home, we're going to eat it in 3 days. We eat a lot. And then I've got to go out and get another deer. And farming takes so much more work up front. You got to till the earth. You've got to water the crops. You've got to harvest. You've got to do all the different components of farming. But if you do it correctly, you can fill your silos for the entire winter. And every brand needs a really solid combination of hunting and farming. And you're right, so much of what's going on, especially in the consumer product space right now, including Built Bars, is this hunting component. And like you said, if all you're doing is hunting, sooner or later, that's not going to become kind of fiscally repeatable. And if you haven't built more of a relationship with the audience, it's going to be very difficult to sustain that for the long term without your costs just continuing to go up over time.
Exactly. Okay, so connected to that, insight number 3, if you look at their YouTube account, if you look at their TikTok, their Instagram, which they do have, they're putting out regular quote-unquote content. Almost all of it is promotional in some way. It is, look at this bar, isn't it tasty? or look at this new flavor we're releasing, or look at this sale that we're having, and I'm not I don't want to diss it for not, it's quite creative. They have, I don't know their name, but there's these two young ladies that seem to be kind of the main faces and runners of their social media accounts, and they're very up on trends, and they do little fun jokes or dances or creative ways of putting the bar into some kind of social situation. Anyway, so it's very creative, but all of it is promotional in the sense that we have a protein bar, you should buy it. We have a protein bar, don't you love it? It's tasty. Eat this. Buy our product, buy our product, buy our product. And that basically gets to what I should probably jump into now with my proposal is, but before I get to the specifics, what the general idea is don't necessarily stop what you're doing, because they're not hurting. I think they're doing pretty well as a brand, but to combine the opportunities that I see from the first three insights, which again is kind of a lack of a brand identity, like a position in the market other than it tastes good, spending so much on influencer and digital marketing, and all of their stuff being promotional. What I propose to them is they provide value outside of the wrapper that is the Built Bar product, and provide something that they are building fans, not of just the product, but their brand. I think they have a lot of brand or product fans, and that makes it so much easier to build a relationship than if your product sucked, right? Like, that's so great. I don't think there's anything they need to change. I'm not recommending the recipes messed up or anything, but once you have a good product, how do you make them love the brand even beyond the product? And that's what I want to propose a specific idea for. But again, I turn it back to you. Any reaction to what I've said or anything to add to that?
Well, I think what you're saying is they've got a great foundation on which to build upon, right? The product is a good product. And I think you've proven at this point product market fit, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a place for Built Bar. What you're suggesting is the marketing strategy to not be so product centric and actually get people to build a relationship with the Built organization. And I think you're spot on.
Who is that? Right now, I don't know. I know what their product looks like. I know it tastes such and such flavor that I like. I know those things. What's the brand about? What's your personality? What are you trying to do in the world? I don't have answers to that yet.
Yep, and there is no real face of the brand, like you said. And of course, there's the ladies that sound like they're doing a great job with the social media content, but it's all promotion focused. You're not brand building with just promotion focused content. And so, I love where you're headed. I'm excited to see kind of what your proposition is here.
Okay. So here's the idea. And this is kind of similar. It wasn't intentionally inspired by, but it's kind of a callback to our last episode about Traeger. You talked about how that guy, the golfer, Min Woo Lee, right, is his name?
Min Woo Lee.
He had that kind of phrase the popular like online phraseology that he's kind of used as his own, which is "let him cook." This is a similar phrase that people use a lot in today's vernacular that this brand can own, and that is built different. People say that somebody, he's built different. It's often used in sports, which is very relatable to the protein market. But in general, I want to expand even beyond that, and and give them, through this built different content pillar or campaign, whatever you want to call it, more of that identity that I talked about them lacking, which is, and this is maybe not what they would put in writing, but I'm phrasing it as like taking on the worthwhile. And it can be related to sport, exercise, fitness, which protein is a clear connection to, but also feature different walks of life and demographics that aren't just in the gym or running the trail or whatever, that are still fueled by this idea, not just the product, but this idea of being built different, doing something that's hard or challenging than going through the motions and status quo and things like that. So the Built Different campaign be short online episodes of featuring stories of real people who are doing things that are impressive, meaningful, challenging things. I'll give you some examples in a minute. Like I said, it would feature different demographics of people that might be consumers, whether they're currently who you're getting lots of sales from, or aspirational. I want to move into that market and show them that Built Bar is for them as well. And the eating of Built Bars, the product, will be kind of make little appearances here. The bars will appear while someone's talking to the camera maybe, or show them in a B-roll and they're opening one up for the morning. But it's not the main focus. It's not front and center. It's not promotional. the eating of protein bars is just kind of something that occasionally pops up throughout without being directly addressed. So here's some example episodes, and I haven't found real stories, so these are just imaginary. But something like, well, actually, some of these kind of are real because I have seen these happen, but I don't know the guy's name or whatever. Like the guy who hand built a gym on his farm. I saw this guy online. He didn't have access. He lived in a small rural community. Couldn't go to Gold's Gym or 24-Hour Fitness. But using cinder blocks and wood and some rope, he built like gym equipment so he could get a workout on his property. That guy's built different. His gym is actually built different. And featuring that guy's story, what inspired you to do that? How did you build that thing? What's your workout look like in the morning? And have him also eating the Built Bar again in the background, not the main thing he's talking about. That's someone who's built different, and he's powered by Built Bar, so to speak. Or the lunch lady who also competes in powerlifting on the weekends. Like she's really trying to not who you'd somebody who's unexpectedly involved.
Didn't Adam Sandler write a song about her?
Maybe, yeah. Sloppy Joe's, the Built Bar, or whatever. Or the teenager, this is, again, getting away from fitness, the teenager who sells 1,000 sneakers out of his car. Like, he's got the hustle mentality, or selling jerseys or something like that. And it's not necessarily physical fitness, but there's still a grind, a hustle, trying harder, carving your own path, being built different. That guy can eat protein bars as well. Or the girl who, this one, again, I don't know her name. I tried to do some research before, and I don't know who it would be yet. I saw this girl on social media that hikes mountains wearing high heels. I don't know exactly what her reasoning is, but she has all his videos and photos.
Strongest ankles in the game.
Yes, she's got high heels on and goes on these miler, hikes. And so that girl, she's built different. And it's related to fitness, outdoor, protein, things like that. The guy who busts on the subway with an instrument he invented, who made something, and he's in New York City, and he makes music on the street with this instrument, combination of a drum and I don't know, so all kinds of different things, which you're showing different walks of life. It's people content, it's stories, if you want to hear the next episode, it's entertainment value, and then that term that people understand, built different. Your name is built. It fits in so seamlessly.
Yes.
And now you're providing value through this episodic content that people are wanting to tune in, they're liking, they're sharing, they're engaging, and the protein bars are there, but instead of saying, look guys, we have the new banana cream flavor, or look, don't you just love, you can't start your day without a protein bar, that's just transactional, promotional, it comes, it disappears, it gets scrolled past. Now you're giving true content and building an audience and a brand, and not just the audience, but the brand identity. Now I know, it's not just about how good you taste. It's not the fact that it's only for guys trying to get huge in the gym. You have a position now, which is the people who do things different, who take on something worthwhile, who are achieving something and working through life to do something. They're built different, and this is the Built Bar that fuels them.
Yeah, what you're describing in my mind is somewhat. This trail was paved by Red Bull, right? Mm-hmm. Because Red Bull's a consumer product. Red Bull tastes like Smarties that were crushed up and dumped into a cup, right? And carbonated water was mixed in. And yet it's the most popular energy drink that's out there. And, I didn't do research to find out if it is, but it's by far the leader in the energy drink space, I think. They have never run an ad saying Red Bull is the one that tastes the best and you should buy Red Bull. The tagline has been Red Bull gives you wings. And then they show people accomplishing superhuman things, whether it's mountain biking, whether it's jumping out of a plane, whether it's a ski jump.
They don't just show, they put on events. They have the whole event. It is the Red Bull event.
They are the creators of these extreme experiences. And the unspoken message there is that Red Bull is the reason these people can accomplish superhuman things. It gives you the wings to accomplish superhuman things. And they never come out and say it, right? And yet it's very obvious what's happened because of the work that Red Bull's done and the volume of product that they move. And yet it's so funny, very few brands have the guts to do what Red Bull has done, even though they've proven that it works. And so when you apply this to Built, that you're finding people who are truly built different and subtly demonstrating that Built was a factor in their construction of whatever it is, whether it's the body they've constructed, the gym they've constructed, the the mountains that they've hiked in their high heels, or whatever it is. This is the model for a consumer product, in my mind, to build more long-term impact as opposed to the transactional nature of most consumer product advertising that's out there. I love the idea.
And let me build upon a little bit more. I don't want to get to belabor the point too much. But again, going back to what they're doing isn't bad, but it can be made better. Again, you want to use influencers, and we use the word like creators because it's better if they're making content that aligns with your brand as opposed to just influencing. But now, okay, fine, still have your influencers, but instead of just so and so who happens to have millions of followers, you're now saying, well, who's built different? Who's a influencer because they're doing something that is this unique challenge, achieving something type of thing, and not just because they, have a popular following, whatever. Those are our influencers. Those are and now by seeing who's influencing you, who's promoting you online, it still helps extend a brand image and identity other than, well, they pay influencers. And you still can run ads. Like Red Bull still has ads, but they have all this content and event attached to it. So I'm not saying don't run ads. You can still announce your new flavors. You can still show something that's just a fun little promotional thing, but that is secondary and alongside content that is something you're building a community around, and entertainment value, and that's where I'm saying, so don't stop it. They're not broken, but there's such an opportunity they could grab.
Yeah, is that the extent of your idea? Because I want to add to it, but I want to wait until you've kind of gone through.
No, add to it. The concept. Yeah, I don't have any specific exactly like a distribution plan in place or how all this would go, but this concept of content around built different, I think has lots of different directions it could go, and it just so fits with the name naturally. So, anyways, I'd love to have your addition.
Yeah, there's a trend that's going on right now, and I'm going to give a little, for marketers that are listening, there's a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk who definitely has a potty mouth, but he's usually been ahead of the marketing trends that are out there. He talked about attention for a long time and the value of attention before it really became the currency on which marketers thrive, right? He talked about TikTok. And that's actually how I discovered what TikTok is through Gary V's content, probably 4 or 5 years ago at this point. And, TikTok has now become exactly what he said it was going to become, right? Well, Gary V is now saying that for consumer products, the next big wave that's coming is live shopping. And so there's a couple of apps. TikTok actually has a live, and I've actually seen Built Bar specifically featured in live shopping events on TikTok. But there's also an app, and I want to make sure I get it right here, Whatnot. It's a new app that's out there that's also live shopping. And Gary V believes that live shopping is the next big wave for consumer products, and that there's going to be a lot of people who are starting to buy that way. And with the relevance of TikTok Shop and even Instagram shopping and some of the other vehicles for people to shop out there, I can see it heading this direction. I believe that he's right when he says that. So when you take your idea of building these episodes of people who are built different, Built Bar has already demonstrated the ability to scale volume, right? And so what I would actually do is exactly what you suggested, but then I would have, I don't know if it's 24 hours a day, 8 hours a day. I don't know. I just came up with this idea while you're talking to me about it. But of a long form show that's live where, yes, you're featuring built products, but you're also bringing in the people who are built different to join you live on the show, and you ask them about their story. They share their story, and then you can actually get, what's your favorite Built Bar flavor, and show the flavor. And, Rulon Gardner is the guy we're featuring today who was built different, and Rulon's favorite flavor is salted caramel. And so for the next 30 minutes, anybody who, orders salted caramel is going to get the Rulon Gardner discount for 10% off, or yada, 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 right? But the way I see this for consumer products is combining the content-centric approach that you're describing and the big picture brand mission related content, similar to what Red Bull does, and then combining that with the live shopping component and integrating those stories so that now you're not only sharing the stories that endear people to the brand, you're also bringing in these content creators who you've built kind of your brand connection with, and you're having live events leveraging both their audience and your audience. And now you can really have a lot of fun with a little bit less, everything that you do when you're creating content is supposed to be really altruistic. And you can even in the live shopping stuff overdo the ask for the buy, and it still can be on brand and fun and enjoyable for the audience. And so my suggestion would be to, yes, do exactly what you described, but then layer on some sort of a live shopping show where you can integrate those two forms, the hunting and the farming together, and really make it a lot of fun. And the social snippets that can come from that kind of content are endless, right? And I think you could just have a blast. You could have a call-in show where people can ask Rulon Gardner questions about his experience winning the Olympics, taking down the Russian guy, there's just this endless amount of content that can be created. And it's funny, I think a lot of people would look at this and say, oh, well, you just want to do QVC all over again, where you're talking about a product and people call in and sell. The difference is I'm creating a show that I can scale through snippets of that content to 10, 20, 30x the reach that I could have gotten without it. And that's the difference in today's structure versus the live shopping QVC type things from the past.
Yeah. Well, and I know Rulon Gardner, just an example, but that's someone also who is kind of already a celebrity or his story's known, and that's great. Do that. But also, there's a lot of these podcasts now, like Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan and stuff, that will have people on that you might have never heard of, but they have an interesting story. The guy who was an undercover cop, or the person who worked, as a security guard at some pilot. Anyways, there's people that who are built different that the public doesn't know about, and their story will be just, they pop up on this kind of thing, and their story is interesting, and that's where influencer in the sense of helping produce content instead of influencer like a sponsored post, which is you pay for it, it shows up, it disappears, doesn't establish long-term identity, and you have to keep paying for the next one. So yeah, I like that idea. I hadn't thought about the live shopping component, but that's interesting. You could also have like some kind of competition to help identify the next spokesperson, or influencer group or something, like who's built different, how are you built different, people could vote, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you could even do like a bracket, right, where you've got the person who was on this episode that's built different, that built that gym that you're talking about, and the woman who hikes the mountains. You, through everybody's channels, you talk about that they're going to be on the show live together at the same time, and each of them is going to have a discount code, and whoever sells the most product or whatever is going to take a group of people on a trip to hike in high heels or whatever it is, right? And what would be hilarious is now you're getting into the fun content ideas. Well, what if the guy that built the shed loses, he has to hike the mountain in high heels or something like that? Like, I think you could just have all these really fun competitive situations, and if you really think about it, how much harder is it going to be when you're already signing a content deal with somebody like the person that built the garage or the gym in their garage to say, we're going to do this episode, and then we need you to appear on 2 of our episodes of our shopping live show, right? People are going to sign on to that for just a little bit more.
Well, that guy's not already getting. He's not already like, I'm trying to think of who an influencer is, like not. And it's not going to be the celebrity that already has the following, or the influencer that the mommy blogger or the lifestyle person. Like someone like that is there. Hey, I'll take anything you can give me because this is an opportunity for me. You just came across my story, and so it could be actually more cost effective in the long run because you're bringing people who are built different. That's why they're being featured. Not just so-and-so happens to have a lot of followers, so they should be on. Like, who cares about that person? They're not built different. They're just an influencer. Like, give me the people who are, like, embodying this new, what I'm proposing at least, brand identity that is Built Bar, which I feel like they lack right now.
Well, and what you're doing is you're also taking people who are not content creators or influencers at the time, and helping them just scale their celebrity very quickly. But then you also get a brand share in everything they do from that point forward. And yes, some people may say, well, I'm not interested in being a creator, and so I'll come do your episode, but I'm not going to do anything after that. But you're also going to get plenty of people that could be life-changing for, and they get to do a lot of the fun content creation stuff. And guess what? Your brand is forever connected to that person because you highlighted their story first. There's just so much value to creating content, especially with people that the public is going to clearly see deserve it, right? Because there's a lot of people right now. In fact, there's been a big time pushback on unfollowing celebrities who have demonstrated what I would call an exploitation of their audience, where it's basically, I know that because of who I am, you'll buy, right? And so then people started unfollowing, and they want to follow people that are more authentic and can connect a little bit better with what the beliefs and values are of the audience. What a great thing to be involved in as a brand.
Yeah. The soul of this idea is kind of reminiscent of like Nike Just Do It, in the sense that it's something that everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, but like the average person can see themselves in. Whereas a lot of influencer collaborations, yeah, you have Kim Kardashian put something out and millions of people will see it, but so little people relate as like, oh yeah, me and Kim Kardashian, we have the same life. We totally, but it's like, it's more aspirational, and that's not, there's a place for that. There's aspirational brands. I think Built Bar shouldn't try to be that kind of thing. It should be, well, hey, that random person just decided they were going to build, they didn't have access to a gym, so they built their own gym equipment. I could do that. That person who hustles and made this instrument that they made up in their garage and took it on the street and made some money, I could do something like that. I could hike a mountain in heels. Like, what's the thing that I can do? I'm built different. And again, I'm not saying everyone's going to literally think I have to have Built Bars now to do that. There's obviously
That's not the point.
It's marketing, but you are providing that level of value and brand identity, which again, I'm repeating myself now, so much better than just what your newest flavor is. So much better than just look what our cost is or something like that. It is a identity.
Well, I come back to the Red Bull example, because there's also nobody that watches a Red Bull event and says, I've got to go out and buy Red Bull right now.
Yeah.
But when they walk into the gas station and they're deciding which energy drink to purchase, Red Bull has built a relationship with them through the entertaining content that they've created, right? And that's the difference. A small percentage of the market at any given time is truly in the market to purchase something based on your ad. Most of them are just living their lives. And in fact, you're interrupting whatever it is they intended to do at the moment, right? And so the idea is to build affinity with them without violating your relationship with them. And the way to do that is providing value. And usually that value to a consumer comes in the form of education or entertainment. You're providing that education and entertainment so that when you go to the grocery store to buy a protein bar, or you go on Amazon to buy a protein bar, you're now going to buy Built because Built didn't ask you for more than they should have at the time that they communicated with you. They said, here's something amazing, and hopefully you trust us when you go into the grocery store or you open up your Amazon shop. And that alone, to me, it's a longer term play. It's something that might not generate immediate results, but I'm a firm believer that long term, it's a much more beneficial way to build a relationship with a customer.
So I'm gonna put a bow on this episode if you're all right with that. And here I'm gonna do something that we haven't really done exactly like this in this series in Unsolicited RFPs. So if you're at Built, here's what we can do at our agency at Brand Revolt to make this happen. Because obviously this is our philosophy's out there, the idea, which is not the only idea we can have, but this thing is ready to be developed if you want to move on this. Our team would not only help identify these people and help you find those who are built different. We would make the content. We would help scope it out, shoot content, plan it out, and set up the relationships from a collaboration, influencer, whatever you want to call it, perspective. And then put together a distribution plan, because none of this stuff matters if no one sees it, right? And so through your channels you have, and any recommended channels we can help leverage to get this stuff in front of the right people, so that not only is it the type of people who are currently following your social media now, which probably, to be honest, people who are already buying and fans of you. We're going to get in front of people who have never heard of you or who have heard of you but prefer someone else. We're going to get in front of a lot of people who have never considered even buying a Built Bar maybe. And through those people, we're going to build an audience that you have controlled access to. This isn't a billboard they drive by and then you don't know if they saw it or not. This is content we can see people liking, commenting, joining your social media because of this, and now they're in that feed, and that will grow your own audience and things like that. And then you will continue to handle making the product, having the announcements of new flavors and whatnot, having your sales. All that's great, but now you're going to have more of an engaged audience of fans, not just of the bars, but of the brand, that then you can sell those bars to, including when they pass it on this, because now they're in stores, right? Gas stations and Target and things like that. So we would love to do those things. What am I missing there, Adam, as far as what we would do for them?
No, you're good. The thing that I was actually going to add is I don't want to violate the confidence that I've built with any of the people that we've featured before, but it has been pretty amazing to see the meetings that have come as a result of some of these episodes, hopefully some announcements forthcoming. And I mean, this is not just made in a vacuum. This is what we do, right? This is the way we approach marketing, and these ideas that we're coming up with for these brands, it's clearly resonating, or we wouldn't be having some of the conversations behind the scenes that we're having. And so, the team at Built Bar, if this was interesting to you, it's not just a nebulous idea. It's what we do for customers every single day. And if you want to see or explore what this could be like, and how could you be a little bit more like the Red Bull model as opposed to just the beating somebody over the head with advertising model, then I think we could be a great partner for you to engage with and get this figured out. But every brand needs to move this direction. We're building these ideas for these specific brands that we're mentioning, but if you're not built and you're watching this and you haven't made this shift into a content-centric approach to marketing, this has to happen, because attention is only going to get more and more fragmented, and it's not going to work unless you build a direct relationship with the audience, and you can only do that through providing value in the form of education or entertainment. Stop beating them over the head with a baseball bat and asking them to buy every interaction they have with you.
And no competitor that they have is in a better position to use this idea because of that word built. Like, built different being a phrase that they're not trying to invent and hope it catches on. People are saying that kind of thing. And so someone else might, do something similar as far as featuring stories or something like that. But that brand identity, that essence that I talked about, is theirs for the taking if they want it, and they can move on that. So, Adam, what's the best way for them to get in touch with us, you individually? What's our sign off here? What do you want to plug, or what's your best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Adam Stoker, or adam@thebrandrevolt.com.
And I'm Camden Bernatz on LinkedIn, and yeah, get to the Brand Revolt email, get to me as well, Camden@thebrandrevolt.com, and social media and whatnot. I'm excited where this content series is going. I think we're still new, 4 episodes in. I think we're going to get better, but finding our stride a little bit about what this show, or what this what's it called? I guess it's a show, right? What this show could be. But as always, if you're listening to this, and if you're not built, but you're someone who's tuned in and you have a brand you think we ought to feature and give an unsolicited RFP to, or if you are the one who's like, hey, do one about me, I want some help, let us know. Reach us out. We're looking for new brands and opportunities to talk about, and hope to provide a little bit of value too. So a little plug for that as well.
Love it. This has been fun. I like the idea, Camden.
Thank you. And thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.